$10, says Keen, panics before 10 seconds. Tiny lungs, tiny courage. Lieutenant Blake Monroe's challenge echoes across the pool deck at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. It's 5:45 a.m., and the air temperature hasn't climbed above 48 degrees. Steam rises from the 12-foot training pool where Phase 1 SEAL candidates stand in two rigid lines. 20 men, 1 woman, all eyes locked forward except for the sideways glances aimed at Petty Officer Ava Keen. She stands at parade rest beside the pool's south edge, already bound. Paracord wraps her wrists behind her back in regulation figure-8 knots. Her ankles carry the same restraint, leaving maybe 8 inches of movement between her feet. The wetsuit clings to her frame, 5'4" in a sea of 6-foot operators, and Monroe knows it. Everyone knows it. "Come on, sir, 5 seconds max," Petty Officer Trent Howell calls out. He's the class leader, built like a linebacker, and his grin spreads wide enough to show teeth. "She won't last long enough to hit bottom." Laughter ripples through the formation. Not loud, not cruel, just the casual dismissal of someone who doesn't belong. Monroe doesn't stop it. He feeds it. "Any takers on 5? Monroe holds up his stopwatch. "Going once." "I'll take that action," Petty Officer Derek Nash chimes in, "but only if we're counting from when she hits the water, not when she realizes she's in over her head." More laughter. Ava doesn't react. Her chest rises and falls in a measured cadence. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds out. The combat breathing pattern remains invisible to everyone except the man standing on the observation deck 2 stories above. Admiral Jonathan Hale leans against the railing, tablet in hand, watching the scene unfold with the patience of someone who's seen too many things go wrong in training environments. Monroe steps closer to Ava, stopwatch dangling from his lanyard. He makes a show of inspecting her restraints, tugging the wrist cord hard enough that she rocks forward half an inch. "Regulations say 2 minutes minimum for drown-proofing, but I'm feeling generous today." He pauses, letting the pause stretch. "We'll give you 4. Prove you're not another liability waiting to happen." Chief Vance, the senior instructor standing poolside with a rescue hook, shifts his weight. "Sir, standard protocol is 2 minutes for Phase 1 candidates. 4 minutes exceeds—" "I'll decide what exceeds protocol, Chief." Monroe doesn't look at Vance. His attention stays fixed on Ava. "Unless you think Petty Officer Keen can't handle what her brother couldn't." The comment lands like a punch. Several candidates glance at each other. Even Nash's smile falters for half a heartbeat. But Ava's expression doesn't change. Her eyes remain forward, focused on some point in the middle distance that only she can see. A Navy challenge coin peeks out from beneath the collar of her wetsuit, the edge visible for just a moment before her next breath makes it disappear again. Monroe backs away, raising his voice to address the entire formation. "Drown-proofing separates the committed from the comfortable. You will be bound. You will enter the water. You will retrieve an object from the bottom of the pool. You will surface. If you panic, you fail. If you quit, you fail. If you die—" He lets that word hang in the cold morning air. "You definitely fail." Someone coughs. It might be a suppressed laugh. Admiral Hale taps something on his tablet screen, and the underwater camera array positioned at the pool's south corner activates. 3 small red lights blink to life beneath the surface, barely visible through the steam and early morning shadow. The camera angles adjust automatically, sweeping the pool bottom in overlapping fields of coverage. One lens catches something the others miss. A training bag lies in the south corner, partially obscured by the filter intake housing. The canvas looks old, faded from chlorine exposure, and the stenciled serial number has worn down to barely legible characters. But the tag attached to the carrying strap remains intact, laminated and sealed. From this angle, in this light, it's impossible to read the designation. The bag shouldn't be there. Standard operating procedure requires all training equipment to be staged poolside until needed, then immediately retrieved and inventoried after use. Hale zooms the camera feed on his tablet. The image pixelates, then sharpens. He can make out part of the tag now. Training bag, followed by a number sequence. He taps the screen to save the timestamp and makes a mental note to review the footage later. Right now, his attention needs to stay on the candidate about to enter the water. Monroe checks his stopwatch. "Petty Officer Keen, you have 60 seconds to prepare yourself mentally. Use them wisely." Ava takes 1 step forward, then pivots 90 degrees to face Petty Officer Luis Ramos. He stands at the end of the formation, the only candidate who didn't join the betting pool, didn't laugh at the jokes, didn't vote when Nash called for a show of hands yesterday on whether she should be dropped from the program. 18 hands went up. Ramos kept his down. The isolation cost him. Nobody partners with him for buddy carries anymore, and his rack in the barracks gets accidentally bumped at 0 dark 30 more nights than not. "If I'm not up in 4 minutes," Ava says quietly, her voice carrying just far enough for Ramos to hear, "check the south corner." Ramos nods once. The movement is so slight that if you blinked, you'd miss it. Monroe doesn't blink, but he doesn't catch it either. He's too busy enjoying the moment, savoring the authority, the control, the power to determine who stays and who goes. Chief Vance catches the exchange, though. His eyes narrow, and he shifts the rescue hook from his right hand to his left. "Time," Monroe announces. "Petty Officer Keene, approach the pool." Ava shuffles forward, the ankle restraints forcing her into a short, choppy gait. She stops at the edge. The water below looks black in the pre-dawn darkness, illuminated only by the underwater lights that create columns of pale green reaching toward the surface. Steam rises in slow, ghost-like tendrils. The cold bites through the wetsuit wherever water vapor condenses on the neoprene. Monroe positions himself beside her, stopwatch ready. "On my mark, you will enter the water feet first. You will descend to the pool bottom. You will locate the training weight." He gestures vaguely toward the pool's center, not the south corner, "and you will return it to the surface. You will do this within 4 minutes. Failure to surface within that time frame will result in immediate rescue and automatic disqualification from the program. Do you understand these instructions?" "Yes, sir." "Do you wish to withdraw from this evolution?" "No, sir." "Outstanding." Monroe raises his other hand, holding it high enough for everyone to see. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute." Ava doesn't hesitate. She shuffles forward and drops into the water, feet first, knees bent to absorb the impact. The splash is smaller than expected. Textbook entry form for someone who's done this before. She disappears beneath the surface and the water settles quickly, steam rushing back to fill the space where her head broke through. Monroe starts his stopwatch. The digital display begins counting upward from 0. Around the pool deck, candidates crane their necks to see. The underwater lights provide some visibility, but the combination of steam, shadow, and early morning darkness makes it nearly impossible to track her movements from above. All they can see is the occasional distortion in the light pattern when something passes between the fixtures and the surface. "She's going down fast," Howell mutters. "Too fast." "Wasting energy," Nash agrees. "She'll burn her oxygen in the first minute." Monroe says nothing. His eyes stay fixed on the stopwatch. 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 1 minute. The water remains calm except for the small bubbles that occasionally break the surface, evidence of exhalation, of breath control, of someone managing their air supply with precision that shouldn't exist in a candidate who allegedly has no advanced training. Up on the observation deck, Admiral Hale watches a different view. The tablet screen shows Camera 3's feed, the south corner angle that captured the training bag earlier. The image quality is better than the naked eye view from the deck. He can see Ava clearly now, suspended in the water column about 8 feet down, still descending. Her movements are deliberate, controlled. She's not flailing, she's not panicking, she's swimming with purpose toward the south corner, toward the bag, toward something that Monroe specifically didn't tell her to retrieve. Hale leans forward. This is where it gets interesting. At the pool deck, the stopwatch hits 1 minute 30 seconds. Chief Vance shifts his grip on the rescue hook. "Sir, do you want me to?" "Stand by, Chief." Monroe's tone allows no discussion. "She's got 2.5 minutes left." "Regulations require visual confirmation of the candidate every 60 seconds, sir. We've lost sight of her." "Then she'd better surface soon." The water stays calm. 2 minutes. The betting pool participants start glancing at each other. Their smiles have faded. Howell checks his own watch, comparing it to Monroe's stopwatch. "Sir, should we—" "Did I ask for input, Petty Officer Howell?" "No, sir." "Then maintain your position." Ramos watches the south corner of the pool. He can't see much from his angle at the formation's edge, but he's not watching for bubbles or distortions. He's watching for something else, something Ava told him to watch for, though she never specified what. His jaw tightens, and his hands curl into fists at his sides. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Admiral Hale's tablet screen shows Ava reaching the pool bottom. She's not at the center where the standard training weight should be. She's at the south corner, next to the filter intake housing, next to the bag that shouldn't be there. Her bound hands work behind her back, fingers moving in small, precise motions. The paracord around her wrists begins to loosen, not quickly, not dramatically, just the slow, methodical application of friction and leverage that suggests hours of practice. Muscle memory built through repetition until the movements become automatic, even in cold water with limited oxygen. The restraints come free. Ava doesn't bring her hands forward. She keeps them behind her back, maintaining the illusion of helplessness while she secures the loose paracord to her weight belt. Then she reaches down to the bag. It's wedged beneath a metal anchor point, a heavy steel hook bolted to the pool floor that definitely doesn't appear on any official training diagram. The hook serves no structural purpose. The filter intake system doesn't need it. The pool maintenance schedule doesn't call for it. Someone installed it independently, off the books, for reasons that have nothing to do with proper training protocol. Ava grabs the bag's carrying strap. She pulls. The bag doesn't move. It's caught on the hook, and the hook is secured with a pin and clip system designed to hold loads far heavier than a training bag. She adjusts her position, plants her feet against the pool floor, and pulls again. The strap stretches. The canvas creaks but holds. She changes tactics, reaching down to work the pin free from the clip assembly. 3 minutes. The pool deck has gone quiet. Even Monroe's expression shifts from confident to concerned. He looks at Chief Vance. "Chief, prepare the rescue hook." "Aye, sir." Vance extends the aluminum pole, positioning himself at the pool's edge. The hook on the end gleams dully in the growing dawn light. "She's not coming up," Nash whispers. "She's actually not coming up." "Maybe she got tangled," Howell suggests. His voice lacks the earlier mockery. "The restraints could have—" "The restraints are rated for this evolution, petty officer," Monroe snaps. "If she got tangled, it's because she panicked and thrashed." But the water isn't thrashing. It's calm. Too calm. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Admiral Hale watches Ava work the pin free from the hook assembly. The mechanism is stubborn, corroded from extended exposure to chlorinated water. She adjusts her grip, applies pressure from a different angle, and the pin slides free. The bag comes loose. She grabs the strap, loops it once around her bound ankles, still restrained, she never touched those knots, and pushes off from the pool bottom. The ascent is controlled, not rushed. She rises through the water column at a pace that suggests she's managing her buoyancy, managing her oxygen, managing everything with a level of skill that Phase 1 candidates shouldn't possess. The bag trails below her, heavy enough to create drag, but not enough to prevent her controlled rise toward the surface. 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Monroe's hand hovers near the whistle on his lanyard. "Chief, on my mark, retrieve her." "Aye, sir." "Wait for it. Wait for it." 3 minutes, 40 seconds. A large bubble breaks the surface near the pool's center, nowhere near where Ava should be based on the last visible distortion pattern. Monroe's eyes lock onto that spot. Chief Vance positions the rescue hook. The formation leans forward collectively, watching, waiting. 3 minutes, 42 seconds. The water explodes, not near the center, at the south corner. Ava surfaces with enough momentum that her shoulders clear the waterline for a full second before gravity reasserts itself. Her mouth clamps down on the training bag's carrying strap, teeth locked around the nylon webbing, and the bag rises with her, 20 kilograms of dead weight suspended from her jaw like a hunting trophy. Her hands remain behind her back, still playing the role of bound and helpless. Her ankles stay locked together in their restraints, and her eyes, the moment they break into open air, fixed directly on Lieutenant Blake Monroe. She doesn't gasp, she doesn't choke. She takes one controlled breath through her nose, 4 seconds in, and then she floats, vertical in the water, holding the bag clear of the surface through nothing but neck strength and core stability. The pool deck could be empty for all the sound that follows. 20 candidates stand frozen in formation. Chief Vance's rescue hook hangs motionless in the air, extended toward a person who clearly doesn't need rescuing. Monroe's stopwatch continues its relentless forward count, 3 minutes, 58 seconds. But his thumb hasn't moved to stop it. His face has gone pale, bloodless, the kind of color that suggests sudden understanding of a situation that has spiraled beyond control. Up on the observation deck, Admiral Hale sets down his tablet and picks up his radio. "Security, this is Admiral Hale. I need 2 shore patrol personnel at Pool Facility 7 immediately. Authorization Hale Tango 47. Acknowledge." The radio crackles. "Security copies, Admiral. 2 SP en route. ETA 3 minutes. Hale pockets the radio and descends the stairs. His footsteps on the metal treads ring out in the silence, measured and deliberate. He's in no rush. The scene isn't going anywhere, and rushing would only signal alarm to the candidates who still don't fully understand what they've just witnessed. At the pool's edge, Ava releases the bag strap from her teeth. The weight splashes back into the water, but she catches the strap with her chin before it sinks, keeping it suspended at the surface. Chief Vance moves automatically, extending the rescue hook toward her. She nods once, permission to assist, and he secures the hook through a loop on her weight belt. Together they work her toward the pool's edge, where Vance and Ramos reach down to help her up onto the deck. The moment Ava clears the water, something happens. Chief Vance reaches for the paracord restraints on her wrists to cut them free with his safety knife. Standard procedure: get the candidate out of restraints as quickly as possible once the evolution concludes. But when he grabs her right forearm to steady her for the cut, the wetsuit sleeve pulls up slightly. Not much, maybe 2 inches, just enough to expose the inside of her forearm where the neoprene normally covers skin. Ink appears, black lines, clean professional work, not the blurred amateur tattoos that some enlisted personnel acquire at off-base parlors during Liberty. This is military-grade artwork, the kind that requires official approval, the kind that carries meaning within the special operations community. The design itself is partially visible, an eagle, anchor, and trident forming the unmistakable shape of the seal trident, the Budweiser, the symbol that says more than any words could about who someone is and what they've done, but it's not complete in this glimpse. Only part of the eagle's wing shows, only one tip of the trident, only a portion of the anchor stock, and beneath it, in smaller letters that remain hidden under the wetsuit's edge, text that would explain everything if anyone could see it. Chief Vance sees enough. His hand freezes mid-motion, the safety knife blade exposed but not yet cutting. His eyes move from the tattoo to Ava's face, searching for confirmation of something he doesn't want to believe. She meets his gaze and shakes her head once, barely perceptible. A message that says, not yet. Not here. Not now. Vance completes the cut, severing the wrist restraints in one smooth motion. The paracord falls away and Ava immediately pulls her sleeve down, covering the ink before anyone else in the formation can get a clear view. Vance moves to her ankles, cuts those restraints as well, and steps back without a word. His expression has gone carefully neutral, the practiced blank face of an NCO who's just stumbled into something way above his pay grade and knows better than to ask questions. If she survived 3 minutes 58 seconds with no air, what else is she hiding? Tap that like button and hit subscribe. We're just getting started. Monroe finally remembers to stop his stopwatch. 4 minutes, 12 seconds. He stares at the display as if it might change if he looks long enough. He clears his throat. That's over standard, by a significant margin. Yes, sir, Ava replies. Water streams from her wetsuit, pooling at her feet. Request permission to return equipment. She reaches down to the training bag, still floating at the pool's edge where Vance's hook deposited it. The bag is old, the canvas faded from years of chlorine exposure, but the laminated tag attached to the carrying strap looks newer, protected, preserved. Ava lifts the bag with both hands and holds it out toward Monroe. He doesn't take it. He's staring at the tag. From this angle, in the growing morning light, the text is clearly visible. Bold black letters stamped onto yellow cardstock, sealed behind clear plastic. Training bag number RX-17-incident file, Ryan Keene. The words hit Monroe like a physical blow. He takes an involuntary step backward, and his heel catches on the edge of a deck drain. He stumbles, catches himself, but the damage is done. Every candidate in the formation saw the flinch, saw the fear, saw the moment when their instructor, the man who controls their future, who decides who stays and who goes, revealed that he's just as human and just as vulnerable as anyone else. Sir? Ava's voice remains level, professional. The equipment, sir. Regulations require immediate return and inventory of all training materials upon completion of an evolution. Monroe's mouth opens, closes, opens again. Where did you... That bag was... South corner, sir. 12 feet down, behind the filter intake housing, secured to an anchor point that doesn't appear on the facility diagram. She pauses. Would you like me to show you the location on the pool schematic, sir? That bag was destroyed 3 years ago. It was logged as... Monroe catches himself, but too late. The admission hangs in the air like smoke from a gun barrel. Admiral Hale reaches the pool deck. His approach is unhurried, his posture relaxed, but there's something in his bearing that makes candidates instinctively straighten their stance and square their shoulders. This is an O6, a captain in title but wearing the stars that come with Joint Command authority, and he's walked into the middle of an evolution that just went sideways in ways that nobody except possibly two people fully understand. "Lieutenant Monroe," Hale says. His voice carries the particular tone of someone who's about to ask questions that won't have comfortable answers. "Interesting training methodology this morning." Monroe snaps to attention. "Admiral on deck." The candidates follow suit, forming parade rest in perfect unison, all except Ava, who's still holding the dripping training bag like an offering. Hale waves a hand. "As you were, everyone. Except you, Petty Officer Keene. You and that bag come with me. Lieutenant Monroe, you too. Chief Vance, maintain the formation until I return." "Aye, sir," Vance responds. He sounds relieved. Hale gestures toward the facility office, a small building 30 yards from the pool deck. Ava follows, bag in hand. Monroe follows Ava, and his footsteps sound heavier than they should, like he's walking through deep water instead of across concrete. The candidates watch them go, and the moment the office door closes, the whispers start. "Did you see that ink?" "What was it?" "I couldn't tell, but Vance saw something." "She was down for 4 minutes, man. 4, without breathing. Nobody stays down that long." "She just did." Ramos says nothing. He watches the office door and counts seconds in his head. This is either going to end very well or very badly, and he's not sure which outcome he's hoping for. Inside the office, Admiral Hale sets his tablet on the desk and pulls up the camera 3 footage. The screen shows Ava's underwater journey in high definition. The descent, the work at the south corner, the careful extraction of the bag from its illegal mounting point, the controlled ascent. He plays it once, then rewinds and plays it again. Monroe watches with the expression of someone witnessing their career disintegrate in real time. "That hook," Hale says, pausing the video on a frame that clearly shows the steel anchor point bolted to the pool floor, "does not appear on any facility maintenance record, which means it was installed without authorization, without inspection, and without any safety oversight." He looks at Monroe. "Do you know how it got there, Lieutenant?" "No, sir." "Really? Because according to the facility access logs, you've had after-hours access to this pool 93 times in the past 18 months, more than any other instructor, more than the maintenance staff. You're here when nobody else is here, doing things that apparently don't require witnesses." Hale taps the screen. "Want to revise your answer?" Monroe's jaw works silently for several seconds. "Sir, I don't—" "Stop!" Hale's voice doesn't rise, but the single word carries enough weight to crush further protest. "Here's what we're going to do. You're going to stand right there and keep your mouth shut while I talk to Petty Officer Keene. Then, depending on what she tells me, I'm going to decide whether to recommend an Article 32 hearing or just skip straight to a full court-martial. Clear?" "Yes, sir." Hale turns to Ava. She's set the bag on the floor but remains at attention, water still dripping from her wetsuit to form a spreading puddle on the linoleum. "At ease, Petty Officer. And for the record, I've been watching you for 8 weeks. I know exactly who you are, and I know exactly why you're here. What I don't know is whether you understand how much danger you just put yourself in." Ava's shoulders relax fractionally. "Sir, 3 years ago," Hale continues, "your brother Ensign Ryan Keene died in that pool during Phase 1 drown-proofing. Official cause of death, drowning due to insufficient physical conditioning. The investigation was brief, the findings were conclusive, and the case was closed within 72 hours. He pauses. "Except it wasn't really closed, was it? Because someone with above-average computer skills and below-average respect for digital security protocols accessed the sealed incident file 14 times over the subsequent 6 months. Someone who used library computers, coffee shop Wi-Fi, and various other methods to avoid leaving a traceable digital signature. Someone who was very, very interested in a 40-second gap in the official video record." Ava says nothing. Her face remains carefully neutral. "That same someone," Hale continues, "submitted an enlisted application to Navy Recruiting Station Portland using her mother's maiden name, scored perfect marks on the physical fitness assessment, volunteered for SEAL training, got accepted, and then spent 8 weeks carefully, methodically, systematically underperforming in every single evaluation while secretly mapping this facility's pool bottom during off-hours swim sessions that she wasn't supposed to be conducting." He leans forward. "How am I doing so far?" "Accurately, sir." "Good. Now tell me why you didn't just come to me with your suspicions. I've been investigating training pipeline irregularities for 2 years. If you'd contacted me directly, we could have handled this through proper channels. Because proper channels sealed my brother's file, sir. Proper channels ruled his death accidental. Proper channels shut down every inquiry my family tried to make. Ava's voice remained steady, but there's steel underneath now, the kind that doesn't bend under pressure. I needed 2 things before anyone would listen: physical evidence that couldn't be dismissed or destroyed, and a credible witness who couldn't be silenced or transferred. So you risked your life to retrieve a training bag from an illegal anchor point while bound and underwater for 4 minutes. Hale shakes his head. That's either the bravest or the stupidest thing I've seen in 30 years of military service. I haven't decided which. With respect, sir, I wasn't at much risk. I've been practicing breath hold techniques since I was 16. Collegiate swim team, competitive freediving, volunteer rescue diver certification. I can hold my breath for 6 minutes in controlled conditions. 4 minutes underwater with a task to complete is challenging, but it's well within my capabilities. She glances at the bag on the floor. And I've been practicing underwater knot escape for 3 months. The wrist restraints came free in under 30 seconds. Monroe makes a strangled sound. Hale silences him with a look. As for the timing, Ava continues, I knew you were scheduled to inspect training facilities this week. I've been monitoring your calendar through publicly available appearances and official Navy announcements. When I learned you'd be here this morning, I knew it was now or never. If I waited any longer, someone might move that bag, destroy it, or realize I'd been scouting the pool bottom during my unauthorized evening swims. Those unauthorized swims that violated about 6 different base security protocols and could have gotten you arrested. Yes, sir. Those ones. Hale runs a hand over his face. This is going to be a paperwork nightmare. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Don't apologize. You just handed me the break I've been waiting 2 years to catch. He picks up the training bag, examining the tag closely. This bag was supposed to be destroyed per evidence disposal protocols after Ryan Keene's death was ruled accidental. The fact that it's still here, still in the water, still attached to an unauthorized anchor point, suggests someone wanted it hidden but accessible. Probably for the same reason they installed that hook, to repeat the process with future candidates. He looks at Monroe. How many times, Lieutenant? How many other families are grieving because you decided to play executioner in a training pool? Monroe's face has gone from pale to gray. Sir, I want to invoke my right to... You'll invoke nothing until Shore Patrol arrives and reads you your rights properly. Hale checks his watch, which should be any second now. As if on cue, 2 Master-at-Arms personnel appear at the office door. They're young, professional, and carrying restraints that suggest they've already been briefed on the situation's severity. Hale nods to them. Lieutenant Blake Monroe, you're being detained pending investigation into possible misconduct, falsification of official records, and criminally negligent homicide. You'll be escorted to the base brig, where you'll remain until NCIS completes their initial interviews. The Shore Patrol personnel move with practiced efficiency. One reads Monroe his rights from a card, while the other secures his hands behind his back with plastic zip ties. Monroe doesn't resist, doesn't protest, doesn't do anything except stare at the floor while his world collapses around him. Within 90 seconds, they've escorted him out of the office, across the pool deck in full view of the assembled candidates, and into a waiting security vehicle. The candidates watch in stunned silence. This isn't how training evolutions are supposed to end. This isn't part of the program. Chief Vance maintains his neutral expression, but his eyes track Monroe's departure with an intensity that suggests he's recalculating everything he thought he knew about the past 3 years of training operations. Hale returns to the pool deck. The candidates snap back to attention. As of 0630 hours, all Phase 1 training operations are suspended for 72 hours pending safety review. You will return to your barracks, secure your gear, and await further instructions. Chief Vance will coordinate with HQ to arrange temporary assignment to maintenance duties while we sort this out. Dismissed. The formation breaks up with unusual quiet. No joking, no banter, no speculation. Just 20 men processing the fact that their world just shifted on its axis and nothing will quite be the same again. Ramos lingers near the pool deck exit, waiting until Ava emerges from the office. When she does, he falls into step beside her. South corner, he says quietly. You actually told me to check the south corner. I did. If you hadn't come up, I would have gone in after you. I know. 4 minutes is a long time to trust someone you barely know. Ava stops walking. They're far enough from the other candidates now that nobody can overhear. 3 years ago, my brother died in that pool. The official report said he panicked, but Ryan didn't panic, ever. He was the calmest person I've ever known. Unshakable. The kind of person who could take a breath and slow his heart rate at will. She looks back toward the facility. When I saw the video, the edited version they released to my family, I knew something was wrong. 40 seconds missing from the end. 40 seconds that would have shown what really happened. So you joined up to find out. I joined up to make sure it didn't happen to anyone else. She starts walking again. If Monroe was willing to kill my brother to maintain some twisted sense of standards or to collect payment from someone who wanted certain candidates eliminated, then he was willing to kill again and again until someone stopped him. They reach the barracks area. Ramos pauses at the door. That tattoo on your arm. Vance saw it. I saw his reaction. What is it? Ava pulls up her sleeve just enough to reveal the full design. The seal trident stands out in sharp detail, rendered in black ink with subtle shading that gives it depth and dimension. But it's the text beneath that makes Ramos inhale sharply. Letters in military stencil font, clear and unmistakable. RK-Phase 1, 2022. It's not mine, Ava says quietly. It's his. I had it done 6 months after he died. A reminder of what I'm here to do, and who I'm doing it for. She pulls the sleeve back down. Most people assume it's decorative, or a memorial. They don't look closely enough to realize it's a recreation of his actual trident, the one he never got to earn because Monroe decided he didn't deserve it. But you have the skill, the breath control, the underwater navigation. That's not normal civilian stuff. My brother taught me everything he learned at basic underwater demolition school before he died. We spent his last leave diving together, practicing scenarios, running through skills. He wanted me to understand what he was training for. Ava's voice goes quiet. He used to say that if anything ever happened to him, I'd need to be able to finish what he started. I thought he was being dramatic. Turns out he was being prophetic. Ramos nods slowly. So what happens now? Now we wait. Admiral Hale will coordinate with NCIS. They'll interview everyone, pull records, analyze that bag, test the anchor point, review every training death in the past 5 years. It'll take months, maybe years. She opens the barracks door. But Monroe's done. Whatever network he was part of, whatever pipeline he was protecting, it's compromised now, and that's a start. Inside the barracks, the other candidates are already spreading rumors. Wild theories about who Ava really is, what she's hiding, why an admiral personally intervened in a routine training evolution. The speculation ranges from plausible to absurd, but none of them land on the truth. That's fine. The truth will come out eventually, once NCIS completes their investigation and releases their findings. Until then, Ava is content to let people wonder. She strips off the wetsuit and hangs it to dry in her locker. The tattoo on her forearm catches the overhead fluorescent light, the eagle's wings seeming to spread slightly wider in the stark illumination. Beneath the bird, beneath the trident, beneath her brother's initials, there's one more line of text that nobody except Ava and the tattoo artist have ever seen. It's hidden under a waterproof band that she wears constantly, covered during training, concealed during inspections. But when she removes the band now, in the privacy of her locker alcove, the words become visible. Justice delayed is not justice denied. She touches the letters gently, feeling the slight raised texture where the ink sits just beneath her skin. Her brother used to say that all the time, when their mother worried about slow court proceedings after their father's accident, when their neighbor struggled with an insurance claim that dragged on for months, when Ryan himself faced administrative delays in his training pipeline. He believed that the truth always came out eventually, if you were patient enough and stubborn enough to keep pushing. Ava believes it too. She has to, because if justice can be delayed this long, 3 years of silence, 3 years of sealed files, 3 years of one family's grief ignored by a system that values clean paperwork over honest answers, then the only way forward is to trust that persistence pays off. That eventually, someone listens, someone acts. Someone decides that the cost of maintaining a lie exceeds the cost of admitting a mistake. Admiral Hale sits in his temporary office reviewing the camera 3 footage for the 7th time. He's making notes on his tablet, time-stamping specific moments, flagging frames that will need to be included in the official report. The evidence is overwhelming. The anchor point, the bag, the tag, the serial number that matches a supposedly destroyed piece of equipment. The video record of Ava's careful, deliberate extraction of that evidence while remaining underwater long enough to make any rescue attempt appear natural rather than staged. It's brilliant, really. Risky beyond reason, but brilliant. She gave him everything he needed wrapped in a package that Monroe couldn't explain away. No accusations, no hearsay. No, just physical evidence, video documentation, and a candidate who risked her life to prove that the system failed her family 3 years ago. His phone buzzes. Text message from NCIS. "We need to talk. Monroe is naming names. This goes higher than we thought." Hale types a response. "How much higher?" The reply comes back in seconds. 06. Maybe higher. Seal pipeline selection has been compromised for at least 5 years. Hale sets down the phone and stares at the wall. 5 years. How many candidates? How many deaths ruled accidental? How many families like the Keens grieving in silence while the Navy patted itself on the back for maintaining standards? He thinks about Ava standing on that pool deck with water streaming from her wetsuit, holding a 20-kilogram training bag with her teeth while her hands remained bound behind her back. The sheer physical capability required for that feat staggers the imagination. But more impressive than the physical skill is the mental fortitude, the willingness to stay underwater for nearly 4 minutes, to work through pain and oxygen deprivation and cold, to trust that a plan conceived in grief and executed in isolation would actually work. She deserves better than this. Better than a system that forced her to risk everything just to be heard. Better than a training pipeline that treats candidates as expendable and families as inconvenient. Better than 3 years of silence. Hale picks up his phone again and dials a number he hasn't called in 2 years. The line rings 4 times before someone answers. Vice Admiral Keating's office. "This is Admiral Hale, Joint Special Operations. I need 15 minutes with the Admiral this afternoon. It's regarding the SEAL training pipeline integrity investigation." "The Admiral's schedule is fully booked today, sir. I can fit you in tomorrow morning at 0900. "No, today, this afternoon. Tell him I have evidence of systematic corruption extending to the 06 level, and if he doesn't want to read about it in the Washington Post before NCIS briefs him properly, he'll make time." Hale pauses. 15 minutes. That's all I need. There's a long silence on the other end. Then, "Hold please, sir." 90 seconds later, the aide returns. "The Admiral can see you at 1400 hours. His office." "I'll be there." Hale hangs up and returns to his tablet. There's more footage to review, more evidence to catalog, more pieces of a puzzle that grows larger and darker with each passing hour. But for now, he allows himself a moment of satisfaction. Sometimes, not often, but sometimes, the system works. Someone listens. Someone acts. Someone decides that the truth matters more than institutional convenience. And sometimes, just sometimes, a grieving sister becomes an instrument of justice that the official channels couldn't provide. She just retrieved evidence from 12 feet down with no air and her hands bound. What happens when the Admiral reviews the footage and discovers who installed that illegal anchor point? Comment below with your theory. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button. This story is far from over. The conference room at Naval Criminal Investigative Service Building 27 smells like burnt coffee and stress. 4 people sit around a scarred wooden table at 14:30 hours. Admiral Hale, Special Agent Melissa Torres from NCIS, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Vickers from JAG, and Petty Officer Ava Keene. The tablet in the center displays camera 3 footage frozen on a frame showing the illegal anchor point, the training bag, and enough circumstantial evidence to launch a dozen investigations. Torres taps her pen against a legal pad covered in notes. Let me make sure I understand the timeline correctly. 3 years ago, Ensign Ryan Keene dies during Phase 1 drown-proofing. The investigation closes within 72 hours. Official ruling, accidental drowning due to inadequate physical conditioning. No further action recommended. She looks at Ava. But you didn't accept that ruling. No, ma'am. Why not? Ava's hands rest flat on the table, fingers spread. Because the video didn't match the story. My brother was a collegiate swimmer. He held his breath for competition. He taught lifeguard certification courses. The idea that he panicked and drowned in 12 feet of controlled pool water made no sense. People panic, Torres counters, even experienced swimmers. The psychological pressure of SEAL training breaks down barriers that... I watched the video 217 times, ma'am. Ava's voice stays level, professional. I counted every frame. The official footage runs 8 minutes and 42 seconds, but the timestamp metadata shows 8 minutes and 42 seconds of continuous recording with a 40-second gap at 7 minutes and 58 seconds. Someone edited the file and tried to hide it by adjusting the runtime display without fixing the metadata signature. Torres and Vickers exchange glances. This level of technical detail isn't something they expected from a Phase 1 candidate. Hale hides a smile behind his coffee cup. He already ran his own analysis. Ava's numbers are accurate to the frame. So you decided to investigate, Torres says. On your own, without contacting proper authorities. I tried proper authorities first, ma'am. I filed 3 separate requests through the Freedom of Information Act. All denied on grounds of privacy and ongoing investigation, except there was no ongoing investigation. I contacted the Naval Inspector General's office. They referred me back to the local command that conducted the original investigation. I reached out to my congressman's office. They sent a form letter expressing sympathy. Ava pauses. After 6 months of bureaucratic circles, I realized nobody was going to reopen the case based on a civilian's suspicions. I needed to become part of the system to change it. So you enlisted under your mother's maiden name, Vickers says, consulting her own notes. Catherine Mary Sullivan became Kate Sullivan on your enlistment paperwork. Different enough that automated systems wouldn't flag the family connection to Ryan Keene, but still technically legal since Sullivan is your legal middle name inherited from your mother's side. Yes, ma'am. And you deliberately underperformed during Phase 1 to avoid drawing attention while you investigated the facility. Torres leans forward. That's premeditation, petty officer. You entered SEAL training under false pretenses with the intention of conducting an unauthorized investigation. I entered SEAL training to finish what my brother started, ma'am. Ava's gaze doesn't waver. If the investigation happened along the way, that was a secondary benefit. Hale sets down his coffee. Let's be clear about what actually happened here. Petty Officer Keene identified a potential murder, exhausted all legitimate channels for investigation, and then used the only remaining option available to her, direct evidence collection. She risked her life this morning to retrieve physical proof of systematic corruption that we've been searching for through proper channels for 2 years without success. He looks at Torres. She handed us Monroe. She handed us the bag. She handed us video evidence of an illegal anchor point that's been used in at least 5 other training deaths. I'd say that's worth some latitude on procedural technicalities. Torres purses her lips. The evidence is solid. Monroe started talking the moment Shore Patrol put him in the brig. He's already named 3 other instructors and 2 officers in the selection pipeline. But he's not the architect. Someone higher authorized this, someone who had the clearance to seal incident files and redirect investigations. How high? Vickers asks. We're tracing digital signatures now. The common thread is a certification stamp from Naval Special Warfare Command, specifically the Training Oversight Division. That's 06 territory minimum. Torres flips through her notes. We've identified a pattern. Over the past 5 years, 23 candidates died or were seriously injured during Phase 1 training. 23. The historical average for the 10 years prior was 7. That's a 300% increase, and nobody flagged it because each incident was ruled individually as accidental or attributable to candidate error. The room falls silent. 23. The number hangs in the air like smoke from a gun. Ava's voice cuts through the quiet. How many of those 23 had their incident files sealed? Torres checks her tablet. 14. And how many involved Lieutenant Monroe as the supervising instructor? 8. Then we're looking at multiple operators working a coordinated system. Monroe was one node in a larger network designed to filter out specific candidates. Ava stands and walks to the whiteboard mounted on the wall. She picks up a marker and starts drawing connections. Monroe handles physical eliminations, candidates who make it past the selection board but need to be removed during training. Someone else handles the selection board itself, flagging candidates before they even arrive, and someone at command level seals the paperwork to prevent pattern recognition. Torres watches the diagram take shape. You've been thinking about this for a while. 3 years, ma'am. I had time. Ava caps the marker. The question is, who's paying for it? This level of coordination requires funding, motivation, and protection from oversight. That doesn't happen spontaneously. Someone commissioned this system. Hale's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen and his expression hardens. That was Vice Admiral Keating's office. NCIS just executed a search warrant on Captain Richard Drummond's quarters at Naval Special Warfare Command. They found financial records linking him to a private military contracting firm that specializes in executive protection services for foreign nationals. The firm pays Drummond a consulting fee of $75,000 per year in exchange for candidate recommendations. Recommendations for what? Vickers asks. For rejection. The firm represents clients in several Middle Eastern and African nations who want to ensure that certain demographic profiles don't make it through SEAL training. They're paying Drummond to maintain a pipeline that excludes candidates based on ethnic background, religious affiliation, or political views that might make them less susceptible to recruitment for private security work after their service ends. The implications settle over the room like a cold fog. This isn't just corruption, it's systematic discrimination wrapped in plausible deniability and sealed with official stamps. And it's been operating for 5 years while good candidates died trying to prove they deserved a chance. Torres stands abruptly. We need to move fast. If Drummond realizes we're onto him, he'll destroy evidence. We have maybe, she checks her watch, 45 minutes before his scheduled departure for a conference in Norfolk. Once he's off this base, it gets complicated. What do you need? Hale asks. Access to his office, his computer systems, and his official correspondence for the past 5 years. I need to prove the connection between his consulting income and specific candidate eliminations. And I need to do it before his lawyer shows up and locks everything down behind attorney-client privilege. Hale pulls out his phone. I can give you 30 minutes of unrestricted access before base legal catches up with the warrant. After that, you're on your own. 30 minutes is enough if we move now. Torres looks at Ava. You're coming with us. Ma'am? You've been studying this system for 3 years. You know what we're looking for better than anyone. Plus, Torres allows herself a tight smile. If Drummond tries to claim this is all a misunderstanding, having the sister of one of his victims standing in his office holding evidence might convince him that cooperation is his best option. They move fast. Torres, Ava, and 2 NCIS forensic specialists cross the base in an unmarked sedan, arriving at Naval Special Warfare Command headquarters at 15:05. Drummond's office is on the 3rd floor, corner suite, with windows overlooking the obstacle course where candidates sweat through evolutions designed to break the weak and forge the strong. The irony isn't lost on anyone. The door is locked. The forensic specialist bypasses it in under 15 seconds using a keycard cloner and a laptop. Inside, the office looks exactly like what you'd expect from an 06 with 30 years of service. Commendations on the walls, photos with various dignitaries, a wooden desk that's seen better days, and filing cabinets that probably contain enough classified material to keep an investigator busy for months. Torres heads straight for the computer. Ava, take the filing cabinets. Look for anything labeled candidate review, selection board minutes, or training oversight. If you find sealed files, don't open them. Just flag their location. We need chain of custody to be perfect on this. Ava moves to the nearest cabinet. It's locked, but the key hangs on a hook inside the desk drawer, because apparently Drummond never considered that someone might actually search his office. She opens the top drawer and starts flipping through folders. Most of it is routine administrative paperwork, budget reviews, staffing reports, equipment requisitions. But in the back, behind a false divider, there's a slim folder labeled Project Gatekeeper. She pulls it out. Inside are spreadsheets, columns of names, dates, demographic data, and outcome codes. The names are familiar. Ryan Keene appears in the 4th row, dated 3 years ago. His outcome code reads T-D1, terminal dropout, category 1. Except Ryan didn't drop out. He died, which means the code is a euphemism for something much darker. Agent Torres, Ava says quietly, you need to see this. Torres leaves the computer and comes over. She reads the spreadsheet over Ava's shoulder, and her expression goes from focused to furious in the span of 3 seconds. That's our proof. Every name on this list corresponds to a training incident, and every outcome code matches a death or serious injury. She takes the folder carefully, handling it by the edges to preserve any potential fingerprints. This is premeditated murder disguised as training casualties. She risked everything to expose a conspiracy that killed 23 candidates, and the mastermind is still on base. Drop a comment if you think she'll get justice, and hit that subscribe button because this is about to get intense. The forensic specialist at Drummond's computer speaks up. I've got email correspondence between Drummond and someone at Sentinel Executive Solutions. That's the private contracting firm. They're discussing candidate profiles, success rates, and payment schedules. The emails are encrypted, but whoever set up the encryption used a weak key. I can break it in about 10 minutes if you want the full contents. Do it, Torres orders. She turns back to Ava. Keep searching. If there's one folder, there might be more. Ava returns to the filing cabinet. The next drawer contains personnel files for SEAL instructors, including a thick folder on Lieutenant Blake Monroe. Inside are performance evaluations, training certifications, and a sealed envelope marked personal and confidential. Ava doesn't open it, chain of custody, but she can feel that something's inside. Papers maybe, or photographs. Something Drummond wanted kept separate from the official record. Got another one? She calls out. Torres bags it and labels it. The collection of evidence grows. Each piece adds another layer to the picture of a system designed to fail specific people while maintaining the appearance of merit-based selection. It's elegant in its evil. Use training's inherent danger to mask targeted eliminations, seal the files to prevent pattern recognition, and pay off the right people to keep the machine running smoothly. At 15:27, Torres's phone rings. She answers, listens for 10 seconds, and hangs up. Drummond just canceled his Norfolk trip. His aide called to reschedule, citing urgent base business. He knows we're here. Can he reach the office before we finish? Ava asks. Not if we're fast. How much more do you need to search? 2 more cabinets. Make it quick. Ava accelerates her search, pulling drawers open and scanning contents with the efficiency of someone who's spent 3 years obsessing over details. The second cabinet yields another folder, this one containing financial records showing wire transfers from Sentinel Executive Solutions to an offshore account. The amounts match Torres's earlier estimate, $75,000 per year, paid in quarterly installments, with bonuses for exceeding target elimination numbers. The final cabinet is different. It's older, heavier, and the lock mechanism is military-grade rather than commercial. The key on the hook doesn't fit. Ava looks around the office, searching for another key location. Nothing obvious. She checks under the desk mat, behind the photos, inside the fake plant pot. Still nothing. Then she notices something. The bottom drawer of the desk has scratches around the lock cylinder. Fresh scratches, like someone's been opening it frequently with something that isn't quite the right shape. She pulls the drawer open. Inside, taped to the underside, is a second key. Old school tradecraft. Hide the important key where casual searches won't find it. She uses the key on the heavy cabinet. It opens smoothly, and inside are files that date back a decade. Training incident reports, investigation summaries, and closure documents, all stamped with Drummond's authorization signature. This isn't just 5 years of corruption. It's 10, maybe more. How far back does this go? Ava whispers. Torres comes over and starts photographing pages with her phone. Further than we thought. We're going to need a bigger investigation team. At 15:34, footsteps echo in the hallway outside. Multiple people, moving with purpose. Torres gestures for everyone to freeze. The footsteps pause at Drummond's door, and a key rattles in the lock. But the lock is already bypassed, the door already open, and when Captain Richard Drummond pushes into his office expecting privacy, he instead finds 4 people surrounded by evidence of his decade-long conspiracy. He's 58, gray-haired, fit for his age, and wearing the uniform of someone who's spent a career building credibility. That credibility drains from his face the moment he sees the open filing cabinets and the bags of evidence stacked on his desk. What is the meaning of this? His voice carries authority, but there's a tremor underneath. This is my private office. You have no right. We have a warrant, Captain. Torres holds up the document. Signed by a federal magistrate authorizing search and seizure of materials related to candidate selection fraud and training oversight malfeasance. You want to read it, or you want to skip ahead to the part where I place you under arrest? Drummond's eyes scan the room and land on Ava. Recognition flickers across his face. You're Ryan Keene's sister. I remember the file. You filed multiple FOIA requests. All denied, sir? For good reason. Those files contained sensitive training information that revealed you'd been systematically murdering candidates for a decade. Ava picks up the Project Gatekeeper folder. 23 deaths in 5 years. How many more before that? 30? 40? How many families got the same form letter my family received, expressing sympathy for accidental losses that weren't accidents at all? Drummond's jaw tightens. I want my lawyer. You can have him, Torres says. Right after we process you at the brig. Captain Richard Drummond, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, falsification of official records, and accepting bribes from foreign nationals to influence military training operations. You have the right to remain silent. She continues through the Miranda warning while the forensic specialists cuff Drummond with the same zip ties they used on Monroe 6 hours earlier. He doesn't resist. The fight has gone out of him, replaced by the hollow-eyed stare of someone watching their legacy collapse in real time. They escort him out through the headquarters building, past junior officers and enlisted personnel who stop and stare at the sight of an O6 being perp-walked by NCIS. Word will spread through the base within minutes. By evening, it'll be on military news sites. By tomorrow, congressional oversight committees will be demanding answers. The cascade has begun. That evening, Admiral Hale stands in the Phase 1 training area, watching the sun set over the obstacle course. Beside him, Ava watches the same sunset, still wearing her duty uniform because there hasn't been time to change. The base feels different now, quieter, more uncertain, like everyone's waiting for the next revelation. NCIS is requesting full access to your brother's original incident file, Hale says. They want to compare it to the other 23 cases. Look for patterns in how evidence was suppressed. Are you prepared for what they might find? I've been prepared for 3 years, sir. They're also recommending that you receive official commendation for your actions this morning. Distinguished conduct under unusual circumstances. It'll go in your permanent record. With respect, sir, I don't need recognition. I need the system fixed so this doesn't happen to anyone else. Hale nods slowly. That's happening. The Chief of Naval Operations has ordered a complete audit of SEAL training protocols, candidate selection procedures, and oversight mechanisms. Every training death from the past 15 years will be reviewed by an independent board. Every instructor will undergo ethics screening. Every sealed file will be unsealed and re-examined. He pauses. It's going to get messy. Careers will end. Reputations will be destroyed. Some good people will get caught in the blast radius alongside the corrupt ones. Good people don't stand by while murder happens, sir. No, they don't. Hale turns to face her directly. There's something else you should know. The investigation into Sentinel Executive Solutions revealed that they've been recruiting former SEAL candidates, people who washed out of training or were forced out by Drummond's network. They offer them second chances as private contractors, but the contracts include clauses that effectively make them corporate soldiers with no legal protections. Some of those people are operating in conflict zones right now, doing things that would be war crimes if uniformed military personnel did them. Ava absorbs this information. So Drummond wasn't just eliminating candidates, he was funneling them into private armies. Exactly. And now we have to find them, evaluate whether they were willing participants or victims of a sophisticated recruitment scam, and determine what legal framework applies to their situations. Hale sighs. This investigation just grew from base-level corruption to international criminal conspiracy. It's going to take years to untangle. But it starts here, sir. With Ryan, with Monroe, with stopping it before it claims number 24. Yes, it does. Hale reaches into his pocket and pulls out a small case. Inside is a medal, the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, already engraved with Ava's name and the date. This is for distinguished performance under extraordinary circumstances. Normally there'd be a ceremony, witnesses, formal presentation. But given the sensitivity of the situation, I'm authorized to present it privately. Consider this official recognition that what you did this morning mattered. Ava accepts the medal. The weight feels heavier than it should, like it carries not just metal but the memory of 23 people who never got the chance to earn their own commendations. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. There's a complication. Hale's expression grows serious. The digital forensics team found something on Drummond's computer, an encrypted file that took them 6 hours to crack. Inside were communications with someone else, someone higher in the chain of command who was providing Drummond with political cover and advance warning whenever oversight inspections were scheduled. Do we know who? We have a digital signature and a partial name from recovered email headers. The individual has already been contacted by NCIS, but they lawyered up immediately and aren't cooperating. The problem is jurisdiction. This person is currently assigned to a joint NATO command, which means extracting them for questioning involves international coordination. Hale pulls out his phone and shows Ava an image. It's a scanned document, partially redacted, but one name is visible at the bottom. We're calling them Tower 4 in the investigation. It's a placeholder until we can confirm identity and serve proper notice. The name means nothing to Ava yet, but the implications do. This goes beyond one corrupt captain. It's a network, a system, a machine that's been operating long enough to embed itself at multiple levels of command. Shutting it down will require more than one morning's evidence collection. It'll require sustained pressure, public scrutiny, and institutional willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about how thoroughly the corruption has spread. "What do you need from me, sir?" Ava asks. "Patience, persistence, and the understanding that justice delayed is not justice denied." Hale puts his phone away. "Your brother's official record will be corrected. His death will be ruled homicide. His name will be added to the memorial wall with full honors. But the larger fight, dismantling this network, holding everyone accountable, reforming the system, that's going to take time. Are you prepared for that?" "I've been preparing for 3 years, sir. I can wait as long as it takes." "Good." Hale extends his hand. "Congratulations, Petty Officer Keene. Or should I say, Petty Officer Sullivan. When you re-enlist, which name are you keeping?" Ava shakes his hand firmly. "Keene, sir. I'm done hiding." That night, Ava returns to her barracks locker. Inside, among the gear and personal items, sits a small envelope. It wasn't there this morning. She opens it carefully, checking for any identifying marks. The envelope is blank, the paper is standard office stock, and the contents are a single photograph with a handwritten note on the back. The photograph shows 5 gravestones in a military cemetery. Each stone bears a name, a date, and the designation KIA, killed in action, even though none of these people died in combat. They died in training at Coronado under circumstances that were ruled accidental until this morning's revelations changed everything. The note reads, "Tower 4 sends regards. Phase 2 begins Monday. 0400 hours, Pier 7. Ava studies the handwriting. It's military precise, block letters that could belong to anyone who's spent time filling out official forms. The mention of Tower 4 confirms what Admiral Hale suspected. There's another layer to this conspiracy, and whoever Tower 4 is, they're still operational. The invitation to Pier 7 at 4 a.m. suggests either a threat, a challenge, or possibly a coerced cooperation offer from someone who wants to turn evidence before NCIS reaches them. She photographs the note and the envelope with her phone, then seals both in a plastic evidence bag. Tomorrow she'll turn it over to Agent Torres. Tonight, she allows herself a moment to process everything that's happened in the past 14 hours. This morning, she was a Phase 1 candidate struggling to prove herself. Now she's a witness in a federal investigation, a symbol of institutional failure, and apparently a target for whoever's left in Drummond's network. The medal sits on her bunk, reflecting the overhead lights. Beside it, her brother's challenge coin, the one he gave her during his last leave, the one that says, "Strength does not come from winning. It comes from struggles and hardship," rests at an angle. She picks up both items and places them carefully in her locker, side by side. Outside, the base continues its evening routine. Lights out happens at 2200 hours, morning reveille at 0530. Training resumes in 72 hours, assuming the safety review clears. Life goes on, because the military doesn't stop for individual tragedies, doesn't pause for investigations, doesn't wait for justice to catch up with operational demands. But something has changed. A crack has formed in the system. And through that crack, light is beginning to shine on places that were meant to stay dark forever. Ava lies down on her bunk and stares at the ceiling. Tomorrow will bring more questions, more interviews, more evidence collection. Monday will bring whatever Tower 4 has planned at Pier 7, and eventually, months or years from now, there will be trials, verdicts, sentences. The machine will be held accountable, at least partially, for the damage it has caused. For tonight, though, it's enough to know that Ryan's death means something. That 23 families will get answers they were denied. That the next candidate who walks onto that pool deck won't be facing a rigged system designed to eliminate them for reasons that have nothing to do with their capability or character. She closes her eyes and whispers into the darkness. "They thought I came to drown. I came to raise the dead." The words echo in the empty barracks, a promise and a threat, a memorial and a declaration of war. Justice isn't loud, it's patient. And sometimes it shows up wearing a wetsuit, holding evidence in its teeth, refusing to surface until the truth comes with it.
Every soldier carry a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVB Story for more.